The birthday candles flickered across Ethan's small, excited face, lighting up the living room with a warm glow. Samantha clapped her hands with the rest of the family, watching her nephew squeeze his eyes shut, hold his breath, and lean forward to make a wish. At 5 years old, Ethan still believed that wishes whispered over cake could come true. He took it seriously, mumbling something only he could hear, before blowing out the candles in one big puff. The room erupted in cheers. His mother laughed, his grandparents clapped, and Samantha ruffled his soft brown hair. "What did you wish for, buddy?" someone asked. Ethan grinned, his eyes dancing mischievously, but he leaned closer to Samantha, lowering his voice. "I wish that you'd be happy, Aunt Sam. I want you to find someone who makes you smile." Samantha froze for a second, startled. She forced a laugh, brushing it off as the innocent thought of a child. "Oh, Ethan, that's very sweet," she said, hugging him tightly. "But don't you want toys or games instead?" He shook his head with all the seriousness his little frame could hold. "You already buy me toys. I want you to have what you don't have. I want you to be happy." Those words pressed deep into her heart. Around them, the party continued in bursts of chatter and laughter. Kids chased balloons, adults sipped coffee, and wrapping paper crinkled across the floor. But Samantha's mind drifted. She looked at the smiling faces, the couples talking easily, the shared glances between husbands and wives. She couldn't remember the last time she had been part of something like that. It wasn't that Samantha disliked her life. At 32, she had built a stable career in publishing, had a cozy apartment, and had the affection of her family. Yet there was an emptiness she avoided thinking about too closely. She told herself she was too busy for romance, that she didn't need anyone to complete her. But in the quiet hours, when she returned home after long days, when her phone stayed silent on weekends, when she watched her friends move into marriages and children, she felt the ache of loneliness. And now here was Ethan, her sweet, thoughtful nephew, cutting through her defenses with the simplicity of a child's heart. "I want you to be happy." Later that evening, after the cake was eaten and the presents were unwrapped, Samantha found herself sitting on the porch while Ethan played with his new toy car. The night was cool, and the sky stretched above them in dark velvet scattered with stars. Ethan looked up, his small hand clutching hers. "Did you ever wish on stars when you were little?" he asked. Samantha smiled softly. "Yes, I did. I used to think the stars listened to everything." "Then maybe you should make a wish too," he said matter-of-factly, his car rolling along the porch railing. "Maybe if we both wish the same thing, it will come true faster." She chuckled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "And what should I wish for?" "For someone who makes you laugh. Someone who makes you feel not lonely," Ethan replied without hesitation. The innocence in his words struck her. She squeezed his hand gently. "You're too young to worry about me like that, Ethan." But he shook his head, eyes serious in a way children rarely managed. "You're my favorite person. I just want you to smile more." That night, when Samantha drove home, his words lingered. The streets were quiet, lit by the soft glow of street lamps. She parked in front of her apartment, but instead of going inside right away, she sat in the car for a while, replaying Ethan's voice in her mind. Someone who makes you laugh. Someone who makes you feel not lonely. She leaned back against the seat, closing her eyes. Maybe she had been hiding behind her work, telling herself she didn't need love because it was safer not to hope. She had been through heartbreak before, enough to leave her cautious. But what if, as Ethan believed, there was still something waiting for her? The thought both scared and thrilled her. She wasn't sure she was ready for it, but she couldn't ignore the warmth that spread through her chest at the idea. The next morning, Samantha woke to a quiet apartment. She made coffee, wrapped herself in a blanket, and sat by the window. The city outside buzzed with life, but she stayed still, lost in thought. She thought about Ethan's wish and how pure it had been. He hadn't asked for himself. He had asked for her happiness. That kind of love, the love of a child who wanted nothing more than for his aunt to smile, was rare and humbling. She realized then that maybe she owed it to herself, and maybe even to Ethan, to try again. To open her heart just a little, to be willing to step into the unknown. It wasn't about chasing romance like a fairy tale, but about letting herself live fully instead of half hidden behind work and excuses. She didn't know when or how, but something had shifted. Ethan's wish had planted a seed. It might take time, it might surprise her, but deep down, she felt the quiet stirring of hope. As she sipped her coffee, a smile tugged at her lips. It wasn't a wish made on stars or candles, but it was a decision, whispered silently to herself. I will try. I will give life a chance to surprise me. What Samantha didn't know yet was that life had already begun weaving that surprise into her days. And it would come, not with grand gestures or dramatic turns, but through the small, unexpected moments that carried the power to change everything. The following Saturday, Samantha found herself wandering through the children's section of the local library. Ethan loved picture books, and she wanted to surprise him with a new stack. The air smelled faintly of old paper and fresh ink, and the quiet rustle of turning pages felt calming. She trailed her fingers along the spines, scanning the titles, until one book caught her eye. It was a bright, illustrated story about adventure, exactly the kind Ethan adored. She reached for it, but at the very same moment, another hand touched the cover. Startled, she looked up. A man stood across from her, tall, with tired but gentle eyes and a faint smile. Sorry, he said quickly, pulling his hand back. Didn't mean to snatch it from you. Samantha gave a polite smile. No, you weren't. I was reaching at the same time. He studied the book for a second and then chuckled. Funny, my daughter's been asking for this one. Guess it's a popular choice. Samantha's curiosity flickered. How old is your daughter? 6, he replied. She loves adventure stories. I'm Michael, by the way. The name settled warmly in her mind. She returned his smile. I'm Samantha. My nephew is 5, and he's obsessed with books like this. Maybe we should flip a coin to see who gets it. Michael laughed softly, the sound surprisingly warm in the quiet library. Or, he said, holding the book out toward her, you could take it. I can always find something else for Lily. The gesture was kind, but it made Samantha hesitate. No, that wouldn't be fair. How about this? You take it today and I'll let Ethan pick another. Next time we'll switch. Michael raised an eyebrow, impressed. That's a very diplomatic solution. For reasons she couldn't quite explain, Samantha lingered. Instead of grabbing another book and leaving, she found herself asking, Do you bring your daughter here often? Every week, he said. It's kind of our thing. Saturdays at the library, then a stop at the bakery down the street. She gets a cookie, I get coffee. Keeps us both happy. The picture of it made Samantha smile more than she expected. She imagined him and his daughter sharing those little traditions, and something about it stirred her heart. They talked for a few more minutes, easy conversation flowing between them. It wasn't forced. It was natural, light, like meeting someone who had been a stranger 5 minutes ago but suddenly didn't feel like one. Eventually, Michael glanced at his watch. I should grab Lily before she runs out of patience. It was nice meeting you, Samantha. You too, she said, watching him walk away. She didn't expect to see him again. Yet as she tucked a different book under her arm, her thoughts returned to his gentle eyes and kind voice. That afternoon, when she handed Ethan the storybook she had chosen instead, he grinned. You always know the best ones, he said, curling into her side as she read aloud. But part of Samantha's mind was still at the library, replaying the moment when her hand had brushed against Michael's. Days later, the universe surprised her again. She stopped by the grocery store after work, balancing a basket of vegetables and fruit, when she heard a familiar voice from the next aisle. Careful, Lily, not too many cookies. Her head snapped up. There he was, Michael with a small girl by his side. Lily clutched a box of cookies, eyes bright as if guarding treasure. Samantha laughed softly, catching his attention. Small world, she said. Michael's face lit up in recognition. Samantha, hi, this is Lily. The little girl peeked up shyly, then offered a small smile. Samantha crouched slightly, lowering her voice. Hi, Lily, I'm Samantha. Your dad told me you love adventure stories. I'll have to get recommendations from you sometime. The girl nodded, clutching her box tightly, and Michael chuckled. You've already won her over. Usually she hides behind me. They talked briefly, nothing too deep, but Samantha walked away with her heart racing. Twice now they had crossed paths by chance. It felt unusual, as if life was nudging her gently in his direction. The third time happened a week later at the park. She had taken Ethan to feed the ducks, enjoying the rare warmth of a spring afternoon. As Ethan scattered crumbs, she heard a familiar laugh behind her. Turning, she saw Michael again, this time tossing a frisbee with Lily. Ethan spotted them first. "That's the man from the store," he said loudly, pointing. Michael noticed and walked over, smiling. "Well, look at that," he said. "We really do keep bumping into each other." Samantha laughed nervously. "At this rate, people will think we planned it." The children, meanwhile, were quick to form a bond. Ethan invited Lily to help him feed the ducks, and soon the two were running around together, their laughter filling the park. Watching them, Samantha and Michael sat down on a nearby bench. "It's nice," he said softly, watching Lily. "Seeing her happy like this." Samantha glanced at him. "You must be a good dad. She looks so comfortable, so safe." A quiet smile spread across his face, tinged with a little weariness. "I try. It's not always easy, doing it alone. But she keeps me going." Something about the honesty in his words touched Samantha deeply. They didn't need to explain everything. The exhaustion, the responsibility, the pride of raising a child, because it showed in his tone. She felt a pull toward him, not just out of attraction, but out of respect. As the sun dipped lower, the children came running back, cheeks flushed. "Can we play again tomorrow?" Ethan asked, glancing hopefully between the adults. Michael looked at Samantha, his eyes uncertain. She smiled. "I think that can be arranged." Driving home later, Ethan chattered happily in the back seat. "I like Lily, and Michael's funny. You should invite them over sometime." Samantha gripped the steering wheel tighter, her heart racing at how easily Ethan had spoken those words. It was innocent, casual, but it carried weight. She wasn't sure she was ready for what it implied. Yet deep down, she couldn't deny that she wanted it too. She remembered Ethan's birthday wish, the one she had brushed off as sweet but silly. "I want you to be happy, Aunt Sam. I want you to have someone who makes you smile." And now, unexpectedly, life had placed Michael in her path more than once. Coincidence, perhaps. Or maybe, just maybe, the start of something she wasn't prepared for but couldn't ignore. The next weekend, Samantha woke early, restless with thoughts she couldn't quite name. She told herself it was just coincidence, bumping into Michael so often, but part of her heart whispered otherwise. Ethan tugged at her sleeve during breakfast, his eyes bright. "Can we go to the park today? Maybe Lily will be there again." His innocent excitement pushed her to agree, though she wondered if she wanted it as much as he did. When they arrived, the park was busy with families and children. Ethan ran ahead with his little bag of breadcrumbs, and Samantha followed at a slower pace. She spotted Michael almost immediately, sitting on the grass, tossing a ball to Lily. The girl's giggles floated through the warm air. Samantha hesitated, unsure if she should approach, but Michael noticed her first. His face lit up, and he waved. "Hey, looks like we've got good timing again," he called out. Samantha laughed softly, leading Ethan closer. Ethan was hoping Lily might be here. The children reunited as though they had been friends forever, their energy filling the space around them. Michael patted the grass beside him, and Samantha sat down, smoothing her skirt nervously. For a few moments, they just watched the children run and play, their laughter echoing against the trees. "They get along well," Michael said after a pause. His voice carried both surprise and relief. "Yeah," Samantha agreed. "Ethan's shy most of the time, but he seems to like Lily. That's rare." Michael glanced at her with quiet eyes, and for a moment, neither of them looked away. Something unspoken passed between them, a recognition that went beyond casual conversation. Samantha shifted slightly, breaking the silence. "So do you come here every weekend?" "Whenever the weather's good," he said. "It gives Lily space to run around. And honestly, it gives me a little breathing room too." She smiled knowingly. "Parenting can't be easy." "Single parenting even less so," he admitted. There was no bitterness in his tone, just honesty. but I wouldn't trade her for anything. She's the best part of my life." Samantha's heart softened at his words. The way he spoke about his daughter carried a sincerity that drew her in. She wanted to know more about him, about the life he had built for the two of them, but she held back. It felt too soon to ask. Later that afternoon, Ethan and Lily begged for ice cream. Michael and Samantha exchanged a look, both smiling at the children's pleading eyes. "All right," Samantha said, giving in. "Ice cream it is!" They walked together to the small stand at the corner of the park. The children ran ahead, choosing their flavors with excitement. Samantha and Michael followed more slowly, their steps falling into an easy rhythm. "Do you ever feel," Michael asked, "like life surprises you in the smallest ways? Like you plan one thing, and then suddenly something completely unexpected shows up?" Samantha's pulse quickened. "All the time," she replied, her voice softer than she intended. "Lately more than ever." They stood close as they waited for the children's cones. The air between them felt charged, not heavy, but alive, like something new was beginning to unfold. After ice cream, the four of them sat together on a bench, wiping sticky fingers and laughing at the mess the children made. It felt natural, easy, almost like they were a small family already. The thought startled Samantha. She had spent years keeping her heart guarded, focused only on Ethan and her work. And yet, here she was, imagining what life might feel like if Michael and Lily became part of it. As the sun dipped lower, they prepared to leave. Lily hugged her father's leg, tired from running, while Ethan leaned against Samantha. Michael glanced at her, his eyes thoughtful. Maybe next time, instead of bumping into each other by chance, we could actually plan something. Samantha hesitated, her heart racing. Then she smiled. "I'd like that." The following week, Michael called. His voice over the phone carried a warmth that made her chest tighten. "There's a small festival downtown this Saturday. Rides, music, food stalls. Thought the kids might enjoy it. And maybe we could too." Samantha agreed, trying to sound calm though excitement bubbled beneath her words. She hung up the phone and found Ethan watching her with curious eyes. "Was that Michael?" he asked, grinning. She laughed, ruffling his hair. "Yes, he invited us to the festival." Ethan cheered, bouncing on the couch. "This is awesome. It's like we're all friends now." Saturday arrived bright and clear. The streets buzzed with energy as families filled the festival grounds. Music played from speakers, and the smell of popcorn drifted through the air. Ethan and Lily darted toward a carousel, their laughter ringing out as the horses spun. Samantha and Michael stood side by side, watching them. "They look happy," Samantha said softly. Michael nodded. "So do you." She turned to him, caught off guard by the sincerity in his tone. For a moment, she didn't know what to say. Her heart fluttered, and she quickly looked back at the children. As the day went on, they shared small moments that felt bigger than they seemed. Buying lemonade from a stall and laughing when it was too sour. Watching the children play games and cheering them on. Sitting on the grass, close enough that their shoulders brushed lightly. None of it was dramatic, but every second felt meaningful. At one point, while the children rode a small Ferris wheel, Michael leaned back and said quietly, "It's been a long time since I've enjoyed myself like this." Samantha met his gaze. "Me too." The weight of their words hung between them, gentle but undeniable. She knew they were stepping into something new, something she hadn't expected but couldn't push away. By evening, as the sky painted itself with shades of orange and pink, they all sat together on a blanket, eating cotton candy. Lily leaned against her father. Ethan leaned against Samantha, and for a fleeting moment, it felt like a picture of something permanent, a life that might be theirs if they were brave enough to reach for it. When it was time to leave, Michael walked them to their car. The children were sleepy, yawning in the back seat. Samantha buckled Ethan in, then turned to find Michael waiting, his expression uncertain but hopeful. "Thank you for today," he said softly. "It meant a lot." Samantha smiled, her heart aching with a mix of joy and fear. "To me, too." As she drove home, Ethan mumbled sleepily, "I like Michael and Lily. Can we see them again soon?" Samantha didn't answer right away. She focused on the road, but her thoughts spun in circles. She wanted to protect her heart, to avoid the pain of wanting something that might not last. Yet she couldn't deny it anymore. Her nephew's wish for her happiness had started to feel less like a child's dream and more like destiny guiding her gently toward something real. That night, as she lay awake, she whispered to herself, "What if this isn't just chance?" And deep inside, she knew the answer was already forming. The next few days moved quickly, but Samantha felt each one differently now. Her mornings at work seemed lighter, her evenings with Ethan warmer, and in the quiet spaces of her day, her thoughts drifted toward Michael. She tried to tell herself it was just a friendship forming, just two adults brought together by children, but deep down she knew the connection was growing into something more. By Friday, Michael called again. His voice carried that calm steadiness she had come to notice. "Hey, there's a farmer's market tomorrow morning. Fresh fruit, live music, lots of space for the kids. Want to join us?" Samantha hesitated only for a moment before smiling into the phone. "We'd love to." The morning was bright, the air filled with the scent of baked bread and strawberries. Ethan skipped happily by her side, while Lily clutched her father's hand. Together, the four of them walked through the stalls, tasting samples, sharing small jokes, and letting the children choose little treats. It was simple, but it felt special. At one stall, Ethan pointed to a bunch of sunflowers. "Aunt Sam, those look like you," she laughed, cheeks warming. "How so?" "Because they're bright," Ethan said simply. Michael smiled softly at the remark, and without hesitation he bought the bouquet. Handing it to Samantha, he said, "I think Ethan's right." Her breath caught. It wasn't just the flowers. It was the way he said it, as though he saw her in a way she hadn't been seen in years. She thanked him quietly, clutching the flowers close, her heart fluttering. They found a small patch of grass to sit and listen to a local band play. The children danced nearby, spinning in circles, their laughter mixing with the music. Samantha and Michael sat side by side, the easy closeness between them growing stronger. "Can I ask you something?" Michael said after a pause. "Of course." He hesitated, then asked, "Have you always been the one taking care of your nephew?" Samantha nodded. "After my sister passed, Ethan came to live with me. It wasn't easy at first, but he's my heart now. I'd do anything for him." Her voice wavered slightly, though she tried to steady it. Michael's gaze softened. "I get that. Raising Lily alone wasn't what I planned either, but she gave my life purpose again. Sometimes the hardest paths end up being the ones that matter most." The honesty in his voice touched her deeply. She realized they shared more than just chance meetings and playful afternoons. They understood the weight of responsibility, the sacrifices, the quiet loneliness that came with being the adult everyone else depended on. For a long moment, neither spoke. The music swelled around them. The children's laughter carried through the air, and Samantha felt the wall she had carefully built around her heart begin to crumble. Later that evening, after they had said goodbye and returned home, Samantha tucked Ethan into bed. He yawned sleepily, but before closing his eyes, he whispered, "Aunt Sam, I think your wish is coming true." She frowned gently. "What do you mean?" "My birthday wish," he murmured. "I wished for you to be happy, and you smile more now when you're with Michael." Her throat tightened. She kissed his forehead, brushing his hair back. "Good night, Ethan." But as she left his room, his words echoed in her mind. "I wished for you to be happy." The next day, Michael invited them over for a simple dinner. Lily helped set the table while Ethan chased her around the backyard. Samantha stood in the kitchen, watching Michael cook, the scent of roasted vegetables filling the air. "You didn't have to do all this," she said softly. He shrugged, smiling. "It's nothing fancy. But it's nice, having company." As they sat down to eat, the children's laughter bubbled around them, and Samantha found herself relaxing in a way she hadn't in years. Conversation flowed easily. About books, about work, about dreams they hadn't voiced in a long time. Every moment felt like a thread weaving them closer together. After dinner, they stepped outside to watch the stars. The children lay on a blanket in the grass, pointing at constellations, while Samantha and Michael stood a little apart. The night was quiet except for the sound of crickets. "Do you ever think about the future?" Michael asked suddenly. "All the time," Samantha admitted. "But it scares me too." "Same here," he said. He turned to look at her, his voice steady but soft. But when I picture it lately, I don't see myself alone. I see Lily, of course, but I also see more. Samantha's chest tightened, emotions rushing through her all at once. She met his eyes, and for a heartbeat, neither spoke. It wasn't a grand declaration, but it didn't need to be. The meaning was clear. That night, as she drove home with Ethan asleep in the back seat, Samantha realized the truth she had been avoiding. What started as a chance favor to take her nephew to the park had led her here, to unexpected meetings, shared laughter, and the slow unraveling of her fears. It wasn't just about coincidence anymore. It was about a wish, a child's wish, that seemed to be coming true in ways she could never have imagined. Weeks passed, and their bond deepened. They shared dinners, park visits, quiet talks, and countless little moments that stitched their lives closer together. The children grew inseparable, and so did they. Samantha no longer wondered if it was just fate or accident. She knew in her heart that this was the beginning of something real. One evening, as the four of them sat together watching a sunset paint the sky, Samantha felt peace settle over her. Ethan leaned against her. Lily leaned against her father. And in that quiet, everything felt whole. She looked at Michael, and he smiled at her as though he knew exactly what she was thinking. For the first time in a long time, Samantha wasn't afraid of tomorrow. She was ready to embrace it, with them. Her nephew's wish had come true, not with magic, but with kindness, love, and the courage to open her heart again. Sometimes the most unexpected paths lead to the happiness we never thought we'd find, and all it takes is one small wish to open the door.